It's time up for Shaun, Wane. We're going to review the England v Australia Ashes series. We're also going to talk about the NRL Global Round.
So welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders Set of 6, our weekly news show where we share the good, the great and the noteworthy from outside the heartlands. Let's get into it. Right, Cal, before we start, I just want to put a bit of a shout out to Pvida, who supply our stash at yourclubstash.co.uk. We've had a few people asking about where can you get tops like this and the polo and the T-shirts and even the shorts if you want. And
all of it, mate. All of it. Tracksuits.
Dry robes coming soon, isn't there?
Dry robes coming soon, yeah.
Dry robes coming soon as well. Well, what do we call them? Because that's a brand name, isn't it? Dry robes. So it'd be like touchline, all-weather, thermal lined jacket type thing. Anyway,
the big jacket.
The big jackets, they're in there as well. So there's a link down in the description and in the pinned comment below. So go and check it out.
Finally, they do ship worldwide. We have had a few people asking from Australia, so they do ship to Australia. Just put your details in.
Aussies not allowed it though. No, not after the Ashes.
No.
They're not allowed. No Rugby League Outsiders stash will be shipped to Australia.
To be fair, it is one Ashes series each.
Is that right?
Well, they've won the men's rugby and we've won the wheelchair, so one all is what I'm saying.
Like it. It's not letting it go, are you? Now, Carl, let's get into this Ashes review. Yeah. Okay, now you was responsible for bringing the hype. You know what I mean? You led the way, didn't you?
I led the charge, yeah.
Yeah, you led the charge, and unfortunately, it didn't quite work out the 3-0 that you thought it was going to be for us. Just cast your mind back now over the series, and how do you feel right now?
A little bit disappointed. I think we've undersold ourselves. We always knew the Aussies were going to come over here, and let's face it, they were always going to have a stronger squad than we were. However, I do still feel that we haven't really performed at the best of our ability. I think we've let ourselves down a little bit.
But do you think, I mean, we're going to talk about like those players that weren't picked and all that kind of stuff. Is this like a player? Is it the player selection that's at fault? Have we fallen short tactically? Have we been not inspired enough? You know, is there not going to be enough fight and aggression? What is it, do you think?
I think there's a few things that you've touched on there. I think game one, we certainly didn't come with enough aggression and fire. I think we turned that on in game two, and that made a huge difference. But yeah, obviously, Australia's got a much bigger player pool than we have. And certainly, I think tactically, we've definitely got it wrong. Our attack at times, we just haven't looked like scoring. We've created throughout the whole series, actually, all 3 games, we've created enough pressure on Australia to give ourselves good field position, good attacking, being in a good attacking space, and we haven't delivered on the attacking side of it. And I think, part of that is down to tactics. Part of that is down to not playing at a high enough, I wouldn't say level, but, Australia, they're used to this big game environment with the state of origin and all the rest of it. And, it is a much bigger sport in Australia, let's face it. I think they're just used to that big game experience a little bit more than we are. And that did show through.
Now, of course, we're going to talk about the future of Shaun Wane, or what we think, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of questions being asked right now about Shaun Wane. That's going to be a separate tackle later in the show, so stick with us where we dive into that. So let's park the Shaun Wane argument. Look at the players. Now, someone posted on one of the Rugby League Facebook groups, can't remember which one it was, like an alternative England B squad, if you like, and it's made up of players that didn't make it into the actual training squad. Now, each one of these players in here, I think, could have certainly done a job and have definitely thrown up some questions as to whether they should at least been in the squad. Obviously, the biggest one we talk about, lots of people talk about, is Jake Connor. What do you want to? Shall I run through the names and kind of get your little spin on it?
Yeah, go through it. There's definitely a few in there that we really should have been looking at.
Well, I'm going to throw it. We'll throw it up on the screen. And here we are. So whoever created this graphic, obviously credit to those. This is not something we've put together. At fullback, Max Jowett, has had a blinding year in his first year of Super League.
Yeah, and you've got to say...
Well, it's not his first year of Super League. I've said that wrong. His return to Super League.
No, Max Jowett has had a wonderful season. Wellesby didn't deliver, did he? He hasn't had a good season this year, so that is one of the players who was picked who really wasn't on form. So there's definitely a case for Max Jowett there. I mean, obviously, AJ came in, he did all right in one game. He didn't really get much of a chance, did he, on game 2? I mean, we're already talking about selection issues here, which is going to roll into the Shaun Wane section. Yeah,
if we look at the continue with the rest of the backs there, Tom Davies, Zach Hardacre, Amila Hanley, Lewis Martin, on the wings and in the centres.
Well, there's one in there that's not even there in the starting 13, but Harry Robertson is one for me who I think just looked dangerous all year. He's a young lad, but he's one of these players looks like don't play with any sort of fear. And I don't think the occasion would have bothered him. What I'd say with some of these players is, like, after we'd lost game 1 and 2, going into game 3, we definitely needed to change it up or throw something different at them. And we didn't. We just went with the same as we have in the other games. And, we didn't offer anything different, did we? It was just same old, same old. So, there's players who weren't picked in the squad I thought could have offered something different.
Moving into the halves, then you had Jake Connor. Loads being made of him not being picked. And also Mark Sneed. Now, I'm not sure Mark Sneed would have done a great deal as a running threat. He's not that kind of player, is he? His kicking is obviously sublime. I'm not sure he's, I don't think he'd have made that much of a difference for this.
He's not a better player than Harry Smith at the minute, so... Yeah. No, but yeah, Jake Connor. Yeah, I've been saying it all year, and he's had a stunning season. He's turned games on their head on his own, and like I said to you, we've offered nothing in attack. He would have offered us something different in attack.
Well, I'll take you right back as well. A couple of months ago, when we first started talking about the Ashes selection, the Ashes team, and when we had like Jake Connor being in the squad just for his shithousery. Do you know what I mean? Just getting niggling the Aussies. And I think I think he'd have put Harry Grant in his place. Like it has certainly got Harry under Harry Grant's skin, and I think that'd have made a massive difference because he was sublime in the Ashes, wasn't he?
Yes.
And similar to Reece Walsh as well. I think it'd have got into his head, So, which is obviously is often worth like 2 or 3 players. If you can start getting these players riled up.
Well, if you upset Reece Walsh, there's almost a different ball game there. Look how he played in game 1. It was a difference in game 1. It was awesome in game 3. Yeah, I completely stand by that. And by the way, we're not just saying this in hindsight, are we? It's not like we're going, oh well, we've lost the series now. Let's decide who we, because actually we were calling for some of these players before the squad was even selected, and I still stand by it.
On the front row, then they got Max King, Brad O'Neill, Luke Thompson. Max King, we don't know a great deal about.
We needed Luke Thompson in that team.
Yeah,
100%. We needed Luke Thompson. We needed that someone who's just used to the NRL style of play. He wouldn't have been fazed by it. Like I say, game 1, our forwards didn't stand up. They looked like rabbits in headlights, didn't they, a little bit? Game 2 and game 3, they were a lot better. But 3-game series, you don't have long, do you?
Well, I mean, Matty Lees,
Morgan Knowles played really well.
Yeah, I think Matty Lees played really well. And obviously later on, in games 2 and 3, Jez Litton had an absolute blinder, perhaps, the English player of the series. Do you think Brad O'Neill had brought a bit more aggression? I don't think he can improve.
Not too much.
Are we kind of in agreement that the Matty Lees, Jez Litton selection is the right selection?
Yes, 100%. Jez Litton has arguably been England's player of the tournament, or he's certainly been top 3. He's had a great series.
Into the second row, then Matty Nicholson, Dean Adley, both I know would have just put absolute their body on the line. Not saying that our second rows didn't, but I just thought that they'd have brought a bit of freshness and aggression.
Kai Pearce-Paul was okay. John Bateman defensively was okay in the first game, but other than that, he didn't offer much more. But like I say, it's an aging team, wasn't it? So it's certainly call there for some changes.
And then at loose forward, Elliot Minchella. But I don't know if he'd have done a great deal more than Morgan Knowles.
No.
So I don't think I'd change that out. But certainly a player that should be in the mix, should be in the squad. You know, he's been brilliant all year. Onto the bench then, I'll just go through them all. Danny Walker, Robbie Mulhern, Ollie Wilson, Junior Nsemba, and then 18th man, Harry Robertson.
Like I said to you before, I'd have probably had Harry Robertson in the squad. Junior started like a house on fire, didn't he, 2 years ago? But he really was quiet at the end of this season. So, yeah, they're not massive changes there, but there is some influential changes I would have made. Definitely.
Just at this point now, there's a couple in the wider squad. I'll talk about them in a minute that kind of missed out on this selection. But just on a wider point, is Harry Robertson our Reece Walsh of the future, and we should nurture him as a player like ahead of this World Cup next year?
Is he I'm calling him the Reece Walsh of the future?
The English Reece Walsh.
He's a big bloody title, that, isn't it? But is he the sort of player that we should be building this next future England squad around? Yes, I do believe so. I'd also throw George Flanagan Jr. into that mix as well. I think we definitely need a younger squad going into the World Cup. That is 100%.
Yeah,
players who just play with no fear as well.
Yeah, because I think, like you said, on that first game, we did show him a little bit too much respect, I think. You know, we should have gone out there and just absolutely belted. I know this is easier said than done, especially when you're sat in a podcasting studio and you're not on the pitch, you know what I mean? And you're staring down the likes of Carrigan and all that kind of thing. But, you know, I think that's why Bateman was in there, wasn't he? Because we thought, you know, he's going to get stuck in, he's going to run through brick walls for England. Yeah. And however, you know, it didn't quite work out. Wider squad then. Liam Marshall, Billy Smith, Jack Farrimon, James Batchelor, James McDonnell and Sam Walters.
No, none of them are making it for me.
James McDonnell? Had a belting season.
Yeah, James McDonnell. Who are you checking out? Havard.
Well, yeah, Havard. I don't think Havard set the world alight.
But we didn't make that call before the series, so it's a bit cheeky of us to start saying it now, isn't it, really? Going back over the 3 games, though, what do you think? What do you make? Take the rugby to one side for just a minute. What do you think of the whole series, as in, you know, what it's done for fan interaction and all the rest of it?
Well, attendances are up, aren't they? You know, TV viewership.
130,000 people have watched at the 3 games. So that's massive, isn't it? That's
incredible. And I tell you what, nothing kind of exists without comparison. Let's compare it to rugby union. Like, rugby union is having real problems at the minute. You know what I mean? So if we can keep elevating our sport and frick off that, you know, kick and chase, then that's a good thing in my mind, right? You can fucking clip that right now, Carl. So so that's good. Little bit of a debate over whether we should be playing at Wembley anymore because of the atmosphere there. I love the idea of mass exodus to Wembley. I love the idea of that. I think we can sort out the atmosphere if we come up with this English song that I've been calling for, the whole series, and change that. But, you know, other than that, I think Liverpool, you were there, outstanding.
Brilliant.
Headingley, you know.
Packed house.
Absolute packed house. They're perfect. You just need some other stadium. I don't know where that is. I suppose the benefit of Wembley is that all those... I was surprised at how many Aussies rocked up for that. Yeah, you know, there was loads.
Well, you got to remember that the biggest crowd of the 3 was still Wembley. You know, 60,000 at Wembley, weren't there? Just don't help that the stadium is a 90,000 ginormous bowl, but there's nothing we can do about it. But we shouldn't be disheartened by a 60,000 strong crowd turning up. And I don't get this argument what people have put forward either, saying, "Oh, we should have played at Headingley first." No, we shouldn't. The opening game of an Ashes series that's not happened for 20 years shouldn't be in a 19,000 stadium. It should be in a 60. You know, there should be 60,000 fans there. And actually, if you flip it around and, like, say England didn't win the first test and it was at Headingley, we wouldn't have had 60,000 at Wembley for Test 3. So I think the sport got it bang on. And like I said, I think the series has. Yes, we have lost all 3 games, but it's been so enjoyable to watch. It's been great having some of these mega stars on the field, you know, some of these Aussie players. And, you know, a lot of kids might not get many opportunities to watch them play. So I think the series has been a success overall, aside from England's slightly damp performances.
Right, Carl. Well, obviously the next step then is just to pick out some of those stars from the series. So who's like the Carl Walker stars of the Ashes for you?
So I've only picked my England lads, but I thought Jez Litton were brilliant.
That sounds a bit Shaun Wane-ish, that. Well, I've only picked my Wigan lads.
No, England
More
lads.
on that later.
England lads. I think Jez Litton was brilliant.
Agreed.
He was a player that was on form. Just won a grand final. He took his grand final form into the England team. He got stuck into him. He was the only player who he led the charge, didn't he, at Everton, getting stuck into Harry Grant. Didn't want to let him have one over on him. And then in game 3, I thought he was great again. Little scoops from around dummy half. That was actually the area where we had a little bit of success when he took a little quick scoop, penetrated the markers round the back of the A and B defenders. Thought really good. Herbie Farnworth I thought was good. Unfortunately, our spine didn't create much for him. However, whenever he had the ball, he always looked dangerous. He always got the offload away. We just didn't service him enough, really.
Well, I think with Herbie Farnworth, like the systems that we were playing, the Aussies can deal with that day in, day out. Where we kind of put a bit of a hole in them was that play around the play of the ball.
Yeah.
And I think we could have been a bit more adventurous there and would have got a few more spoils. That's why Darryl Clark was there in the first test, because, he's notorious at that initial burst of pace when there's a breakdown of the ruck. So I think that's the area. And a lot of people were calling for like Herbie Farnworth to move into like the fullback role.
Yeah.
And from there he could have had a bit of a roaming role, and he could have really attacked that spot on the pitch.
Well, that were a disaster, wasn't it? What happened this week at Headingley, putting Mikey Lewis in at fullback. Why didn't he just bring Herbie at fullback, stuck Watkins on in the centre and put another forward on? Oh, well, it was a disastrous move, that was. In fact, it was shocking. I was going, what is he doing?
The cynic in me, I've thought all series that Shaun Wane has almost set Michael Lewis up to fail. And I know that's very cynical, but I genuinely believe that. I don't think he wanted to pick Michael Lewis. He laid down some, this is what I want you to achieve. Achieve that, you're in the England squad, right? And I think Michael Lewis went off and achieved those things, and he drafted him into the England squad. And it was almost like he was like, right, go on then. Yeah. And literally set him up to fail. He had the devil's own job there in a position that he's not used to playing. I know he played it a few times at York, didn't he, or something like that, when he was younger. Like, but, that's not his position. It's also not his strength. And I think despite that, he actually put in a pretty good performance based on that. But I think there could have been a better way of handling it. Like you said, even if at half time you just had a little bit of a reassessment, Herbie Farnworth into fullback there, brought Mikey Lewis off and brought on and put Callum Watkins into the centres there, a position where he's played a hell of a lot of rugby.
Anyway, I've gone off the boil and I was talking about the top players for England. So yeah, we're on about Herbie, wasn't I? Morgan Knowles is being our player of the tournament.
Well, it's definitely between
up there, hasn't it?
Him, Matty Lees and Jez Litton, I think, have definitely been our players of the tournament.
Well, they're the other two players. I was just about to mention Matty Lees, and then I thought Dom Young, was first two games, thought he was absolutely class. Just rolled up his sleeves, drove it in like a forward, and just skittled people. And I was a little bit worried about Dom Young coming into this Ashes series because he hadn't had the best series in the NRL this year. But whenever he plays for England, he's brilliant, and he's a name that is in my World Cup squad already. He's got to be.
Right, let's move on to tackle 2 then, Carl. And the NRL are talking about a global mega round. What's your thoughts on this?
Now, I'm excited about this. I'm excited. A load of things actually involving the NRL at the minute. Obviously, they're looking at Super League again. The talks are ongoing. Let me just say, I hope something comes off at this point because I think it really needs it. And the money they've got at the minute just can only be a good thing. And I'll get onto the global round in a minute. And if Peter V'landys has to upset a few clubs, and some clubs have to move out of the Super League, even if it's a club I support, I'm backing him because what he's done with the NRL has been tremendous, certainly the last 5 years, and all this talk of global expansion just excites me even more. So getting onto the NRL global round. So what he's looking to do is the opening round of the NRL. Obviously, we have Vegas already, don't we? Have 2 or 3 games, or however each year going on in Vegas, but he wants to have it so basically there's 24 hours of rugby going on. So you have a game in the south of France or one in Hong Kong or Dubai. You have a London fixture. Miami, Hawaii's been brought up on the cards. It's just exciting, isn't it? I mean, and to have all these games just continuously throughout the day for 24 hours. I mean, it don't get better than that, does it, as rugby league fans?
Carl, you're right. Absolutely mouthwatering. Talk me through your meal routine for 24 hours of rugby league. Talk to me, how are you starting your breakfast? You know what I mean? What are you having for lunch? What are you having for dinner? Snacks along the way, drinks, etc. Talk me through it. The best 24 hours of rugby league for Carl Walker.
You've dropped that on me,
I know, but I just thought it'd be interesting. And our good friend Martin DeRidder will love this question because that's right up his street.
I think you've got to go early morning Pop-Tarts.
What?
Hang on a minute. I'm only just getting going here.
Getting going? Pop-Tarts?
Early morning Pop-Tarts with a cup of tea, right? Full English breakfast.
Correct.
Lunch.
With or without black pudding?
Oh, no, without.
Without?
Oh, dirty stuff.
I think anyone that was out there that was like a Carl Walker fan, I think you've just lost 50% of those right now. You're forgetting your roots here, lad. You've got to have black pudding on your full English.
No, I absolutely hate black pudding.
Right, okay.
Hash browns included, though.
No, hash browns definitely not. Anyway, carry on. Come on, faster. Let's go.
Pancakes and syrup after that. Extended breakfast.
Breakfast 3.
This will be for the Vegas round.
Post breakfast, yeah.
Lunch.
Pre-lunch.
Oh, pre-lunch, don't know. By this point, I'm a bit full up. Going into the evenings, proper snack food, isn't it? Like ribs, fries, pizza, nachos. I know you love some nachos. Going into the late night games, I don't know, maybe a bit of popcorn. Go on, you.
Definitely full English. Then what I would probably do is have something, because obviously you'd want to cook it ahead of time, wouldn't you? So I'd have like a big vat of chili.
Yes.
Chili, jacket potato or something like that, because it's cooked ahead of time in the crock pot.
And then you can have just chili on your nachos later on.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Then it's nachos. But what I'd also have, I'd have like an old school 1980s, 1990s kids party food, including hedgehog with pineapple and cheese, and cocktail sausages on a stick. I'd have proper onion in vinegar, like pickled onion type things, huge pickled onions. Do you know what I mean? You could see this, can't you?
All the beige food.
All the bit. No vol au vent, though. Far too posh. Bits of pizza, that's the way I'd go. Because you could just graze all night. But what about this? What about, if this happens, a global mega round, which I've called it, we do a 24-hour watch-a-thon for charity. And we'll have our snack bar up and running.
No.
Why?
Well, because, right, I'll tell you why. Because I'll be on work duties, mate. So I'll probably be having to go to Miami or Hawaii to take in one of the games, So you can stay at home if you want and eat your beige food, and I'll report from Hawaii. I'll come in live.
Right. Okay. So obviously, they're really, really exciting, and something equally as exciting is the World Club Challenge returns for 2026.
At the ground of Hull FC.
Yeah. Interesting.
A smart move, though, isn't it, really? They want to get as many fans in there as possible. It needs to look great on TV. As for all the success Hull KR have had, which is brilliant, Craven Park's not quite up to the standard, is it, of the...
I don't think it's big enough, is it?
No, it's not. It's not big enough, is it? Not to host a World Club Challenge. I would have liked to have seen them go even bigger. And I would have loved to have seen, if it was possible, Everton back on the cards.
Yeah.
Fans loved that stadium. The atmosphere was brilliant. I think they're probably playing it a little bit safe, having it in Hull. But I almost think with this fixture, we need to make it bigger than just coming to the hometown of whoever's won it. I think we need to really push this to be like like almost like a major final, and I think like a
marquee,
marquee game,
fixture.
like a more neutral ground would have been better. I would have loved to have seen this at Everton. Thought that would have been brilliant.
Right, okay, so that's coming next year. Can't wait for that.
We think it's coming next year. It's all in talks in it at the minute.
Oh, it's happening.
But just the talk of rugby league going global, it's massive, isn't it? It's got to be a good thing.
2026 is going to be ridiculous. You know, if thing pans out, global mega round, World Club Challenge. Is it called the mega round? Have I just completely made that up?
Made that up there.
So the global round, the World Club Challenge, the World Cup later in the year. You know, it's going to 2026 is the year.
It's not happening next year.
What?
The mega round's not happening next year. I think it's going to be like, we've got Vegas next year, haven't we?
Vegas.
It'll be 2027 if it happens.
But even so, Vegas.
You've got Wigan are playing Catalan
in Paris
as well.
Yeah.
Just.
I wonder if Hull KR are going to send their academy out to Holland again.
The Benidorm Bash is happening.
Benidorm Bash.
Who's that? Is it Castleford and York? Is it that's going to the Benidorm Bash?
That's epic.
And Valencia. Yeah.
That's what we need.
Which one do you think's going to get the most messy out of all of those?
Oh, Benidorm, definitely. But we need something in Magaluf, don't we? That's what we need. We said this, don't we? We said just take rugby league to all the best stag do spots in the world, right? And the sport will just be massive.
We're just missing Dublin. We're just crying out for a game in Dublin.
Well, mate, might happen. Right, let's move on then, Carl. So we lost the men's running game Ashes to the Australians. However, we did get one up on them in the wheelchair sport.
Yeah, the one we most wanted to win was obviously the wheelchair Ashes, and 2-0 to England. Strange that we're only 2-game series. They did also play Queensland whilst they were over there. I think there was one other game as well. England clean sweep. But it was very close. Australia in the lead, I think in both Test 1 and Test 2. Test 2 went right down to the wire. Joe Coyde scored. 2 minutes remaining to retain the Ashes for England.
And for those of you who don't know, the traditional leaders in the wheelchair game has always been France. England then beat France in the last World Cup, and they cemented themselves at top of the wheelchair game. And the Aussies didn't like that, obviously, being Aussies. So they've put a lot of effort, money, and resources into improving their game, and they're getting better and better year in, year out. So the wheelchair World Cup is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, so game 1 was 56 points to 28. And game 2, Australia 42, England 48. So it was really close. And yeah, the standard of wheelchair rugby league, it just keeps going up in Australia, which is a little bit worrying for us, knowing that the money and that they can throw at the sport in Australia. So it makes for a really interesting World Cup in 2026, though. If you've got now you've got Australia in the mix. So you only think back to the World Cup in England, and Australia were a long way off England. So the fact that they've pulled up all that ground in such a short space of time is a little bit worrying for us. However, we have won the Ashes, so another trophy for the England boys, which is quality.
By the way, whilst talking about wheelchair, don't think that it's like a bit of a closed shop. Anybody can play wheelchair. It's down as one of the most inclusive sports in the world, if not the most inclusive sports. There will be some kind of wheelchair hub near you. So go and seek it out. Go and do a trial. Get in a chair. Give it a go. All right. You may well love it and you may thrive. And who knows, you may well be pulling on an England shirt. I know, you just don't know,
Mate, do you? There's a full tiered system that the England selection have, right from club rugby up to national representation. It's 100% possible. There were even players trialled for England this year who'd come over from other sports because they'd been recognised as top wheelchair talent. So, yeah, anything's possible, mate.
Yep, so good effort, the wheelchair squad. And, right, let's move on then. Viewers, mailbag, Carl. Right, okay, so a couple of comments picked out by producer Harley. So, first one then, Rugby League history, good friend of the show. Rugby League Outsiders fell short of winning any awards at the 2025 Rugby League YouTuber Awards, but there's always next year. Thoughts, Carl?
Yeah.
I mean, we've won 2 years of the trot.
We have won 2 awards at the YouTube Awards, so... Yeah, we need to work harder, don't we? I think is what we're saying there.
Yeah, we've got some big plans for 2026. I mean, the Rugby League YouTube and podcast stratosphere it's changed, hasn't it?
It's
become much more competitive since we started 2.5-3 years ago, which is brilliant for the sport. And also, I think we all know traditional media is starting to fizzle out. People are watching more and more YouTube and podcasts on their TV at home. So I think it's great that we're getting lots of competition. But we ain't sitting still. Big plans for next year. And do you think we'll be pushing for an award next year, Cal?
Yeah. Back on it, we're competitive.
Most sarcastic host, Carl Walker.
Competing with Aussie podcasts.
Right. So Mitchell Driscoll. There's got to be an Aussie. Mitchell Driscoll. Name like that. I bet he's got a mullet. 100% he'll have a mullet.
Yep.
He's saying, I wish your boy Bevan French was eligible to play for you guys. He would get exposed for the fraud he is. Best player in the world. Not fit to tie up Hastings' boots, let alone the Prince Cleary. Right, first thing first, he is freaking eligible. So, Mitchell, take your bloody comment and, go and fact check yourself before you start mouthing off Mullet Man. Right, so, and then, do you think, when I look at how the Ashes unfolded, right, and you think about how Bevan French plays, I think he would have put a serious dent in these Aussies.
I am sticking by what I have said all last year. And I think if Bevan French was playing in the NRL now, I think he would light it up. I still stand by that. And the Aussies can keep rubbishing me until the cows come home. I don't care. I do believe Bevan French is one hell of a player. And I think he's a lot better than he was when he was in the NRL. And I think if he... Because they never rate anybody who plays in Super League, do they? And they never will, right? I'm telling you now, I think Bevan French would light the NRL up. And it would have been bloody brilliant for England. Not that were ever going to happen.
No, and the other one is Jai Field, right? So if I mean that around the ruck, made for him. It's absolutely made for him. Him and Jez Litton, linking up. It would have been electric. Do we live in a dream world or what?
Yeah, 100% in a dream world, mate.
Right, Mitchell Driscoll. So that goes your comment.
By the way, Nathan Cleary, I thought was kept under wraps actually in the Ashes series.
Yeah, I think he did just enough today. He certainly didn't.
I think he steered the team around the pitch.
Mind you, he's worth a lot of points in his kicking, isn't he?
Oh yeah. But Reece Walsh was the man, mate. He's the man for Australia. Take him out of the team, actually. Who knows? Rob McRob.
Oh, come on. I'm normally a Union fan. I went to the game. Don't be jealous of swing low. It's bloody naff. You don't hear it much these days. I thought England looked nervous, made unforced errors. The Australians play more bigger games. They're used to this stage. The English put so much effort into sets that ended with a drop ball or a pass to nobody that they just ran out of steam psychologically, then physically. That's how it seemed to me. It's interesting that, from a Union fan, because obviously I've been saying we need an England song, right? We need somewhere to raise the atmosphere, pull together, and have like an extra person in the stadium with the crowd there. And this guy's saying, look, forget swing low. He's not that big a deal. No. We shouldn't be jealous of it. And you're probably right. Yeah.
Talking about the atmosphere very quickly, did you see any of the Pacific final this week? Right, the Samoa crowd, it was Samoa v New Zealand, the crowd was absolutely, it blew the Ashes away. It was so loud, so much passion. They were all singing the hymns and the songs in the crowd, flags were waving, just something else, mate. It was incredible. Loved it, loved to watch it.
And his assessment of the game is probably right. Australia, they have state of origin,
I can't disagree
series,
with anything he says, yeah.
And then straight into the Ashes and all that kind of thing. So probably used to the big games and the big stage. And he's 100% right. The sets that we worked really hard for fizzled out with a drop ball or a knock on or something like that.
Or just lack of total creativity in the final 20.
Yeah, so thanks for your comment, Rob. Right, Mike Lewis. We've got a comment from Mike Lewis. I wonder if it is Mike Lewis.
Mikey Lewis.
Yeah, Mikey Lewis. Love the podcast, guys. I think it's going to be a cricket score win for the Kangaroos, unfortunately. I think England have been doomed since squad selection, to be honest.
It wasn't a cricket score, was it? Did Game 3 score flatter Australia a little bit? I think it probably flattered them a little bit. Yes, they're a lot better team than we are. I thought England performed. I mean, there was periods that game I was getting excited. I was like, we're on here. We've got them here. And, there was only 4 points going in at half time. I think we just did the usual thing though, didn't we? We had a 10 minutes capitulation, and then we had too much hard work to do. So yeah, it wasn't a cricket score. Not by any shout, really.
We're going to talk about selection when we come on to Shaun Wane a little bit later on. Thanks for your comment, Mikey. JBS Sports, screw the songs. They aren't afraid of songs. Seriously, this is the Kangaroos. Do you really think a song being sung would scare a bunch of players who have state of origin experience? Get real. It's not about that. And it weren't about scaring the Aussies. I think, there's two sides to the coin in there. The effect it has on the Aussies, but the effect it has on the English side.
Yeah.
And that's what I was calling for. Raise the... the desire of the English players, because we were damp in game one. So thanks for your comment. However, you're kind of a little bit self-indulgent there, thinking I'm talking about the song for the Aussies. It's not about scaring. No,
well, you've only got to look at when Jez Litton and Grant got stuck into each other in game 2 at Everton. The crowd, the noise, mate, it went up 10 decibels. It was. And England played off that. They did play off that. Similarly, Samoa were exactly the same this week against New Zealand. New Zealand were the better team. Right, Samoa went in at half-time leading the game because they were just playing off the energy of the crowd. And it does make a difference. It really does make a difference, and I stand by that.
Yeah, you could tell a hostile crowd. You know what I mean? You can feel it. And it puts you on edge. It really does so. Right, okay, Hammerman. So England's best hopes is to bring lots of thuggery and cowardly blindside shots. No wonder you never win. Harley, what we're doing with these comments? Right, no, listen, right, this is my take on this. We're talking about blindsided and cheap shots. Right, the Aussies were dishing out some cheap shots. I'll tell you about that Tino elbow, right, on, was it Morgan Knowles or Matty Lees?
Yeah, this week.
Right, how he stayed on the pitch there, or at least, didn't get a penalty or whatever, I don't know. Like, that was a cheap shot. And then they were complaining, like, Budgie needs someone in the head. And I was like, nah, he just perhaps leaned on in the tackle a little bit. And they were trying to make out like it was some kind of knee to the head. So I think we've all...
And did they forget the Reece Walsh head-eye shot in game 2? Well, there was 2 of them, weren't they, in the same game? One right at the start when Dom Young went in the corner, and then they finished him off with a one in the second half. So yeah, the Aussies were at it as much, if not more than us.
Well, Harry Grant.
Yeah, I mean,
the hell was Harry Grant playing at times?
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, it's a rubbish comment, that is.
Hammerman. Right, Oz Sports Nation. Here we go. Fucking hell. Have we just stitched ourselves up with loads of Aussie comments this week?
Clearly.
Right, terrible selections, shocking coaching. I feel bad for the English players, to be honest. Bloke has no ideas about defensive systems, and if they don't fix it, they'll get torn apart. Was literally local reserve grade defensive IQ that sliding, hold, and backing off is some of the worst I've seen. Local reserve grade. Like, this is where I struggle with some of the Aussie comments.
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm like, local. Like, do you think your game is that good that you? Do you know what I mean? Like, that you think like your local reserve grade will beat England?
No.
I want to see that. I want to see it. Just to go, right, what are you talking about? I'll give you the pinnacle of the sport. I'll give you that. Top team, brilliant. Yeah. And maybe England has struggled against a couple of NRL sides. I'll give you that as well. Right. However, local reserve grade, give your head a freaking wobble.
Yes, Craig, he's back. Where was that fire a couple of weeks ago?
There's like 4 or 5 comments on the bounce there. And I know England are beaters, right? You look at the score in aggregate and it's not flattering at all. However, get real. Local reserve grade. It's just
the margin wasn't that big.
Right, Carl, that's the comments done.
Like, sack them comments off this week.
They were terrible. We need some better comments next week. Or some more in favour of us. Where's the comments asking for a Rugby League Outsiders polo shirt?
there was some in there.
I know there was. Right, moving on. Tackle 5, Carl. Shaun Wane, what now? That's all I've got to say for this intro.
What now? Change needed, I think. I don't think he got it right. Look, if Shaun Wane went into this Ashes series, I thought he was kind of the right man to lead England into an Ashes series against Australia, because you want a coach that's got that fire and grit in his just wants to take it to Australia. And I always thought he was the right man for the job. However, as it's all unfolded now, I'm just looking back and going, he got some stuff wrong, in my opinion. And I think going into the World Cup next year, I think we need to change it up because we've become too predictable. We know what squad's going to get picked, and it was just too easy to read for Australia.
I'm a little bit different. Like I questioned Shaun Wane all along, and what started it off was I was questioning his allegiance, and I was also questioning his clarity of thought in terms of selection. Right back when he's there wearing a Wigan top, he's at all the Wigan games. He's not really scouting players. I know he works for Wigan, right? But he's also the England coach, right? So put it all seems like and maybe it's not, maybe it's just perception, right? But it just seemed like he was always favouring those Wigan players, right? And actually, when we came to the tournament, he did. And also he went all on about
maybe
credit in the bank and past performances, and I know what I'm getting and all that. Well, I'm afraid what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We know what we're getting with you, Shaun Wane, and because we look back at the World Cup, the games that he's been involved in the past, right? We haven't really performed, and you look at this series now, right? So
what's worrying is I feel like we've gone backwards, and he has been given a big rain, hasn't he? Last World Cup, Samoa beat him in first round at group stages. Then we went and we beat him comfortably, may I add. And we went and ballsed that up in the semi-final, got knocked out of the World Cup. It was on thin ice at that point, and we've had 2 series, haven't we? Be Tonga and Samoa after that, but neither Tonga or Samoa didn't bring the strongest squads over here. We just got it over the line, and then we've gone into the Ashes series, and I kind of feel like we've gone backwards. I don't think we've progressed, and that's why I think now is probably a time to change it before we go into the next World Cup.
I'll tell you something else I want to see as well, because there are. I read in one of the Rugby League publishers, whatever you call them, news outlets this morning, that Harry Newman's put his weight behind Shaun Wane and said he is the right man. Right, but that's all right for those players that got picked. I want to hear from the players that didn't get picked, because there seems to be this like allegiance, like
closed shop.
A bit of a closed shop. Chris Hill was he was very complimentary of Shaun Wane and how he runs a camp and all this kind of thing. But I want to hear from those players that didn't get picked, and what their take on it is. So and then the other thing as well is when he's sort of saying, "Oh, I still believe I'm the right man." He does a lot of like these big Winston Churchill type speeches, doesn't he? To inspire people, and British patriot and all that kind of thing. And I'm like, it only goes so far.
Yeah, tactically we didn't get it right, did we? We didn't get it right tactically, and I don't think we got it right. We squad selection, and I'll throw something else in the mix. I don't think he knew if he got it right with his squad selection. The fact that if you look at the England squad, there's a lot of players in that squad who've played one game. Now, if you're that certain that you have got it right, the squad doesn't change much, does it? I know you've got to react to what happens on the day, but I don't think he got it right. And to add to your comment that you sort of said, this pro-Wigan sort of, I take that with a little pinch of salt, because he didn't pick that many Wigan players. However, there was a lot of players who had a past allegiance to Wigan. But what showed me up for?
Well, Carl, what are you talking about? Because when talking about Harry Smith, he went, "He's my boy. He's my boy. Yeah. I want to see him in a shirt." And he just gave Michael Lewis a chance. But he's in his word. Look at listen to his words. He's my boy. And you're like. So you can't get past Harry Smith. And he was waiting to put Harry Smith into that team. He was waiting for it.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was about to say is what showed up on the England documentary. It was the first one, and Hull KR had just won the league. And he sort of said I was really surprised England showed this actually on the documentary. He sort of said, fair play to Ulker, or whatever words he used for winning the Super League this year. And he basically said, that really hurts me, that does, as being, obviously I'm connected to Wigan, obviously. And I just kind of watched that and I was like, I like the fact that you've acknowledged that Ulker have won the Super League this year, but there was no need for the second part of that comment. It's like, you are the England head coach at this point. There should be no club bias whatsoever.
Yeah, this is my point.
I didn't like it, yeah.
Let's fast forward like 12 months. Let's say Sam Burgess gets the job, right? Which is, some people are playing on this, aren't they? And do you think he's going to be talking about Warrington or talking about Bradford? You know what I mean? Or even talking about freaking the South or something like that. Do you know what I mean? He's not.
No.
He's going to be talking about England. And this is the problem that this is where I think people have lost a little bit of belief in Shaun Wane because of that.
Yeah.
I think if you're a Wigan fan, brilliant, you love it. Right, we're not all Wigan fans. We're not.
No, yeah.
So,
but that had all come around before we'd even kicked a ball, hadn't it?
And this is what I'm saying.
And that's why I kind of felt like he'd almost dug his own grave before we'd kicked off, because of the a lot of the Wigan comments, and because of the credit in the bank comments that that he made, and I think he was doomed basically from the moment we kicked a ball.
Yeah, you're right. Right, okay, so we started with Shaun Wane. What now? Literally, what now, Cal?
So, let's look at what the press, or like certainly the Aussie press, they keep throwing James Graham forward, Sam Burgess forward, and I think Michael Maguire has sort of said he'd be interested in the position. Now, my thoughts on Sam Burgess and James Graham, love the guys. I think Graham's been absolutely brilliant on commentary, by the way, from the start of this year. Should they either of them be leading the England team? No, I don't think so. I think if you need a proven coach, we love Sam Burgess, but he's not a proven coach yet, is he? He's not done anything with Warrington yet. So to put an unproven coach in as the England head coach, don't feel right for me. I've got a name I would like to see lead England into the next World Cup.
Well, just hang fire on that name. I am intrigued. Let me just ask you this question, first of all. Lots have been said by the Aussies that this Australian side will coach themselves. They don't need coaching. They just need pointing in the right direction, inspiring, and the way they go. Is it the same for England?
No.
Because we don't get enough big games together.
Yeah, we don't get enough. Yeah, we don't get enough big games together, and
or even training sessions.
Do you know what I say with this England squad? Right, we played well in patches. However, there were a lot of players on that field didn't play nowhere near as good as what they do when they're playing club rugby. And that was because our systems, our attacking shape just wasn't there. The amount of times we saw in this series a looping ball go over the centre's head to a winger, or a drop pass to somebody, to a fullback that were meant to be in the back line, and it went to ground because we just weren't a well-oiled machine. Our attacking shape just wasn't. It was never right, and that's why I say that a lot of our players have been playing better at club rugby than they have for England. So I do think we do need a good, strong coach, and I don't think, and I'm just pointing this at the head coach. I think our attacking and defensive coaches as well really need to step up, and England need more time together.
It's literally those 1%ers, those fine margins that we're talking about.
Well, yeah, because it was the difference, wasn't it?
But that's not really at this level. That's not a coaching thing, is it? Like that's just time together. That's just time playing together, doing the movements. But Shaun Wane suggested that training sessions had been brilliant, that they'd gone really well and they were looking really sharp. Right, Carl, so you mentioned you had a name that you wanted to throw in the mix, and I'm quite intrigued as to who it is, who you putting forward for.
Yeah, and I want to see how he goes this season, but the name on tip of my tongue is Paul Rowley at the minute. And I'll tell you why. England are going into this next World Cup as massive underdogs, right? And people are saying now that Tonga are in front of us and Samoa are in front of us. I don't quite buy that. However, yeah, if that's what they think, fair enough. I think Paul Rowley gets the best start of an underdog side. And I also think he's an incredibly smart tactical coach. Plus, his teams know how to do a bit of niggle as well. Especially when he was coaching Lee Leopards, they were a rough old team to beat, right? But he has that smart. He has that attack. He knows how to coach an attacking side. That's why I think he's the right man for the England job, and he's who I would be putting forward.
Yeah,
on a part-time basis as well, I might add. I don't think we need a full-time England head coach when we only play at the end of the season and possibly one game in the middle of the year. Don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Well, my thoughts are there's a thing called Parkinson's Law, which is like a project will expand to fill the time that you give it. So if you give a head coach a year to put a team together, it'll take him a year to put the team together.
Yeah.
Overthinking it. And we kept getting these little tropes of like, I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with beating the Aussies and all that. Well, that's all right. But, what have we actually spent that money on, really? Because the selections, you could have probably made them selections by...
Oh, yeah, me and you could have made
it. Yeah. So my point is, I think you're right. I don't think it needs a full-time role. Paul Rowley, I love the idea of that.
I'm looking forward to see how he goes this year with St Helens, because he has coached teams like coming out of the Championship, sort of, well, I say lower end of the Super League, but look what he achieved with Salford, to be honest with you. And this year he's going to be with a Saints team he's going to have more money to spend, some exciting players in that Saints team, and I'm going to say it now. I think we'll see a decent St Helens side this year, and I just want to see how he goes. But he'd be my man for England.
It's going to be exciting watching him. See what he does with Harry Robertson. That is a real mouth-watering thing. Right, moving on to tackle 6 then, Carl, and the Williams Weekly. So the NRL are floating the idea of a major new rule change for the 2026 season. They're looking at changing the kickoff rules once a try has been scored, so that the team that have just scored are
the team that kick off.
The team that kick off.
So
thoughts on that?
It's what we used to have, isn't it? This how many years ago was it we had this rule?
25, 30 years ago.
Was it pre-Super League era?
I think it was probably around the start of Super League, wasn't it?
I think we still had that rule at the start of Super League, yeah. I think it probably changed a couple of years after. I know there's some rugby league historians in our comments, so if you can let us know in the comments, that'd be awesome. But yeah, we have had that before. I think it's quite a sensible move. Does it reward the try-scoring team, though? That's the question you got to ask yourself. The idea of receiving the ball back is because you've just scored. You're like getting rewarded for scoring a try. Yeah, but
my opposing view on that is the game. A lot of the game boils down to the amount of possession that you've got right now. It is a possession and territorial game, isn't it? So if you score and then you receive the ball again, you've regained possession. And yeah, you've probably earned the right to do that. However, if we want a more balanced game, if we want closer games, and we want more exciting games, should we balance out that possession?
Hang on a minute, though. So if you've just scored and you receive the ball like you currently do under the current rules, chances of you scoring are fairly low, aren't they? I mean, you're starting from your own 0 metre line. You're starting from the try line. Chances of you going 100 metres and scoring a try is very low. So there is an argument to and for there.
Yeah, but I don't think many teams expect to score from that first. It's all about like work for position, don't you? Then big kick, and then work hard in defence, and it's like a gradual thing, and it's momentum. Whereas if you receive the kick, the momentum's with you. You've got the ball, right? But if you have to kick to them, you're shifting that momentum. And now for the very top sides, it won't matter because they'll just do a massive chase, and then hold you in your half, get the ball back, and go on and do good stuff.
I mean, I've got nothing against it.
No.
I don't see.
Do you think it'll dramatically change the way the game is played?
I don't think it will. No, not at top level. I tell you where.
Do you think we'd still get some of these big... Let's go like Vegas, right?
Well, that was exactly the game I was just about to bring up. England versus the Gillaroos. That were the one that stands out to me because it was a cricket score, wasn't it? The Gillaroos kept scoring, they kept getting the ball back, and it were like they just kept going through us time and time again. So yeah, when you're looking at
But that's the extreme of the game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and the only time that really affected Super League was some of the games against Salford, the Saints, Salford, you know, some of those big scoring games there, which might have been different. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, would it have changed it a great deal? Probably not. The close games, you know, those games where there's 1 or 2 points in it, would it make a difference there? Does it make it more exciting for the spectator?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Possibly, yeah, possibly. I think
It certainly gives it.
I'm stuck on this a little bit
Because you don't know, you're unsure about the effect it's going to have on the game. But I think these teams that are very good at playing games out, getting ahead, right? Like blowing teams away in the first 10, 20 minutes, Hull KR with prime example, and then playing the game out and not letting the other side into the game. Well, all of a sudden, that's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because every time they score, you're getting the ball back. They can't smother the game like they did. The top sides will do, but it does definitely change.
It all boils down to your defence in your opponent's half, doesn't it? How quick you can put that line speed on in the opponent's 20 to pin them down in their own half. So it does bring an interesting dynamic actually to the game. So team that's just conceded are going to get the ball back. They've got a massive effort first couple of tackles to make as many yards as possible to really get out of that 20. So yeah, I'm not against it. But the one thing I will say, if the NRL are bringing it in, please God, can we just have a standard set of rules or laws of the game for everybody?
Well, this is
Super League, International, just roll it out across the board. Because one thing the Ashes highlighted was how differently the sport is refereed.
Well, that was my next question. Is like, what do we do at international? If you've got two different, because that is quite a major rule change.
Yeah.
So what happens at your international levels?
And we have had before where the sport has 3 sets of rules. You have the NRL have their own laws. Super League have our own laws, and then sometimes at international we have a one that's kind of in between both, and it's just daft, isn't it? It should just be one set of laws. And actually, who should decide the laws of the game? Should probably be set by International Rugby League, shouldn't it?
No, we should do it. Me and you, we're on this table.
Yeah,
now.
fair enough. Yeah. I'm all with that. Yeah.
Right, Carl. Look forward then. What's coming up over the next couple of weeks?
Well, we're going to be looking at the show doesn't stop. By the way, we keep rolling all the way through the winter. We'll be looking at how teams have performed in the Super League. We'll do a bit of a review on all the teams. I think we'll do a bit of a mega episode there, and then we're going to be looking forward to the next Super League season, looking at players that have been signed, who's coming in, who's going out. There's a lot of university rugby league happening at the minute, so we'll be touching on some of that as well and try to get some guests in, I think.
Yeah, and like I said before, we're working on some different concepts for 2026, so stay with us. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. We'd love to have you along for the ride. Any final afterburners, Carl?
Yeah, get your stash from yourclubstash.co.uk, Rugby League Outsiders.